Hey, what is going on out there? This is Scott Reese with the Plowzone Radio Show, and we have Kirk Andres Wilson here, a jazz musician from New Orleans. Just got back from the Far East doing a tour there. Tell us a little about yourself.
Well, I'm a piano player, and guitar is my second instrument, and I'm from New Orleans, and I play a whole lot of different styles of music.
Right.
I don't like to put myself in like one little category, but most people like to ask me, well, what kind of music you play? So most of the times I just say I play jazz, and it brings up the question, what is jazz? Which is a totally different topic.
That's a whole nother topic. Yeah.
We don't even have time to get into that, So yeah.
That's everybody's solo, pretty much. Is jazz.
Exactly. Some people think if just because you improvise, you're playing jazz.
True. That's
true.
Mozart
improvised.
Definitely.
But that don't sound like jazz,
Definitely. So who inspired you to get into music?
Oh man. So I don't remember when I started.
Really?
I always played. I think I was like 3, something like that. My brother used to tease me all the time when I was younger. I was too embarrassed to tell this story, but my brother's passed on, so I gotta keep the story going just in his memory. But I started out playing the broom.
As we all did, in front of a mirror?
No, I wasn't in front of a mirror. I was so my dad had a quartet group, and when they would play, I would watch the guitar player, and I would just watch how he would do his wrist. So I learned my wrist technique just playing the broom, but I don't remember when I first started playing guitar. I have my first guitar. I don't remember playing it. And then my second guitar was a Telecaster. They always bought me nice guitars. Then I went from Telecaster to a Gibson SG. My brother accidentally sat down on it because I laid it on the sofa. So the SG was gone. So I started on guitar. Then my parents bought an organ, and so I grew up playing Hammond B3.
Nice.
And somewhere along the line, I kept seeing pianos, so I just kept playing pianos. And then one day I got really serious about piano when I got to college, and there were 5 guitar players in the jazz band, but there was only one piano player, and he was a senior.
So he was gone next year. It's just like being a bass player. Everybody, you got 10 guitar players and 1 bass player.
Right. And then there was all these people, all summer long. So the wedding started right around at the end of February, going into April, March, April, May, June, July, until it's cold. And no one ever called me to play guitar at their wedding. They always called me to play piano. So I just figured, man, I'm not gonna I just recognized that maybe it's the Lord talking to me and telling me, okay, I'll make the decision for you. You're gonna be a piano player. So I also play guitar. It's just not my primary instrument anymore. I made that switch many, many years ago.
So the guitar to me hides the notes. It hides the scales. But on a piano, it's it's right there. And when I first started playing guitar, I didn't understand the majors and the minors. It didn't make any sense. And my guitar teacher's like, don't bring your guitar next week. And then the piano, I was like, raise the third, lower the third, raise the fifth, and then okay.
The thing is, I learned all of my chords on guitar. I remember my grandpa, he's the one who started me.
Right.
So when he taught me, it was I remember the day he brought me this thick book, 256 chords. It was called the Encyclopedia of Guitar Chords. 256.
Did you learn them all?
In each key.
I know. That's beyond me.
But the thing is, it wasn't about learning the 256 chords. It was about learning how to process to understand how each chord is built. Once he taught me that, then I didn't need to learn the 256 chords. I could look at any chord and figure out what this chord is based on that equation. kind of like doing algebra.
It's a math equation, correct?
Yeah. It's like doing algebra basically. So at that point, I was still not really serious about the organ or the piano.
Right.
So when I started playing piano, I had to transfer
all that knowledge from the guitar to the piano.
Right. So it was like a jump start, because like, for example, G minor 7,
right.
I was just like, I knew what the notes are from the guitar. So
you just find it.
Yeah, so my grandpa was very adamant about me not being an illiterate musician. So I had to learn all of my notes.
I play with musicians who are like, it's on the 5 and the 7, and I'm like, oh, okay, we're gonna have problems there.
Yeah. So since I knew what the notes were when I sat down at the organ, I'm like, okay, a G minor 7 chord. Okay, that's a G, B flat, D, F. So look at okay, I got it. So I learned like maybe 25 or 30 chords in one day.
Wow.
Once I got really serious, because I already knew the chords on guitar.
Wow.
Like everything from the diminished to the raised 9 to the flat 5. It was.
See, that's where they lose me on those. Your basic chords and your basic, but then when the diminished, it's just raising or lowering the. It's the octave. Once you're at 9, you're at the, like if A, you go to the octave of A. Is that?
No. It's basically once you get past the octave, then you're at the 9, 11, and then the 13.
Starting over at a higher or lower.
We're higher. Yeah, and then you stop at 13 because if you go the next, because everything is based on the odd integers.
Okay.
So once you're at 13, when you go a third past the 13, you're back to the octave.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So that's why the number 13 is not so many people think 13 is like an unlucky number. Right. I'm like, man, that's the most beautiful card. The 13th card, the 13 raised 11. Man, like I like when we listen to one of my favorite songs that Mr. Herbie wrote back in the days, Maiden Voyage. Maiden Voyage, yeah, Herbie Hancock.
Okay.
Maiden Voyage. I play 13s on that. I don't just play the book, you gotta listen.
That just is adding texture to the music or fullness to the music when you're doing those diminished chords?
All of the above.
Oh, okay.
Because that's what music is about. Mr. Baptiste brought Mr. Dizzy Gillespie to Southern University like maybe 2 or 3 years in a row.
Right.
And I never forget, like one time we played something, it was one of his songs. And I messed that up, man. But I played how I felt that chord should be.
Right.
But it wasn't what it was on the page. But when I heard it, he said, hey, now Wilson, that's not right. He said, but leave that right there.
But leave it?
Yeah, leave it right there. That's not right, but leave it right there. And then at the end, he said, now that's how music should sound.
Really?
Because I play it like this all the time, but now I'm hearing your idea on it. It's not that the chord was a bad chord. It was just different from how it was written.
Right.
But I had a different chord on it. And he initially got mad, but then he said, wait,
he's like,
do that again?
I like it.
So, but the whole perspective is music is alive. It shouldn't be something that you just put in a box.
Well, it's gotta, if you're playing something you feel, I can probably add a little texture to it, a little extra note or something.
Right. I mean, like when I was in college and I had to learn the Bach conventions.
Over my head.
It's like you learn a song and then Bach had like 5 different ways to play the same song.
But just with a little added?
Well, the melody would change a little bit, but the chord progressions are pretty much the same thing. And your left hand might change a little bit, but it was pretty much like once you learn number 2, number 3,
right.
Just like the Hannon technique, the Hannon, the warm-up exercises. Right. Okay, once you learn like 4 or 5 of them, you pretty much had an understanding of what the handing is all about. It's about the establishing your dexterity, like the ability to just hold your hand flat on the table and lift your forefinger. You know, but doing handing increases that ability.
Okay.
So for me, opening that entire thing helps us understand why we do that.
Got it. Okay.
So when we listen to the different versions of Mozart and the different songs that were written by all of the classical composers, they sound different, but they have so many similarities.
Got it. Man.
So,
all right. So if you were going to talk to an aspiring musician, what would you tell them?
You know, it's something that it's an advantage that I grew up with that I kept secret for many, many, many years, and I'll go ahead and share it. One of my advantages was the ability to listen to music until you hear it.
Do you hear it fully, or you hear? What are you talking?
Okay, so listening is the physical aspect, but to truly hear the music is when you get beyond the sound waves going into your ear, when it hits your brain and you begin to comprehend what you're hearing. Like, for example, about 4 days ago, I'm looking at this audience. I'm not gonna say what country I was in, but I'm looking at this audience, and there's a groove going, there's a beat, but no one in the audience is like
doing the
no one's moving to the beat. It was like a bunch of people staring at the stage like a cow at a new gate. Motionless, you know? So, but now, maybe they were listening, but my interpretation of that type of response was
reaction.
like...
You need a reaction when you're playing music.
I need a reaction. So, for an aspiring musician, if you put on a... Breezin' by George Benson, for example, it's my favorite song. If you put that song on, you can't really hear that song if you're texting your girlfriend at the same time.
You're living on your phone,
if you're posting something on social media and Breezin' is going in your earbuds, you're not really hearing that song. You're listening to it, but you're not hearing it. So the ability to hear is way beyond listening to music. Aspiring musicians, their problem is they're so busy writing, but they haven't heard anyone's music yet enough to be inspired to know what to write.
Got it.
So I've listened to Breezin' enough to understand that the main voices in that song is the melody on the guitar, the rhythm guitar, which is Phil Upchurch, the bass guitar, which is Phil Upchurch, and the I'm not going to keep naming, but the drummer and the percussionist, and then you have the orchestra. Okay, but is there a major piano player doodling around while Benson's playing Breezin'? Like, you listen really hard for a Fender Rhodes or a piano in that song, you're not going to hear it. But why I know this? Because I heard it. I didn't just listen.
You were like, well, I'm as a musician, you're hearing everything. You're hearing it all.
Well, sometime I'll listen to a song and I'll focus on just the snare drum from beginning to the end. I'm just listening. I ignore everything else. I just want to hear the snare. Okay, is he playing rudiments? Is he bouncing on the up of the 4, or is he playing a hard 2 and a hard 4 and nothing in the middle? Or is he doing a Purdy shuffle or something similar to that? You know, so I'm focusing on the snare. Then I'll play it again and just listen to just the bass. And just ISO that in my mind.
Now, can you listen to it and go, oh, that's an A minor?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
No problem.
Like, so, but aspiring musicians coming up,
right?
They aren't listening. They're saying, oh, I'm gonna write something and I want it to sound. So they're writing, and they're trying to figure out what to do next. Or they're having writer's block.
Right.
I never had that in my life, man.
No?
Because I've always heard, I grew up listening to Oscar Peterson. I grew up listening to Elvin Jones. I grew up, and now as a piano player, I might put on a drummer, and I'm gonna listen to this drummer because that's gonna make me a better piano player because I understand what the drummer needs in a pianist. So I might put on Coltrane. He's a sax player, but I love what his piano player is doing. But I'm not really listening to the piano player. I'm listening to the.
You're trying to make the music better, or making it so you can hear every instrument. So you got to kind of be in between it. Is that what you sort of kind of?
I have to be able to know everybody's part in a song, and that way, if I'm the composer, then I can better compose. If I'm a guitar player and I'm an aspiring guitar player, I can be a better guitar player if I know what the bass player needs out of me.
All right.
Because the guitar player and the bass player, they're pretty much, they're pulling together. It's like two Clydesdale pulling a carriage. You gotta pull together. You gotta be in sync. So if I'm a piano player, I need to know rhythmically what I need to do, so I'm not getting in the way of the drummer.
True. So step on this guy, don't step on that guy. Just everybody work together.
I play with some drummers where the ride cymbal plays ting, 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 ting. Okay, and then I play with some drummers who the ride cymbal goes ting, 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 ting.
You gotta pick up on that.
I have to be able to flow with both rhythms. Otherwise, we're gonna have a war within this song.
A battle for this millisecond or this second.
Right. So when you start out as an aspiring musician and you're learning to listen, then as you come up as a musician, you will always know how to listen. So now, as an established musician, one of the key ingredients that you must have to be successful is the ability to listen to the other players that are playing with you. And that's the difference between the piano player who sits in the corner in the hotel lobby and the pianist that plays on the big stage with the full band. It's a totally different creature.
Awesome. All right, Kirk, if the Plowzone Radio Show audience wants to get a hold of you, how do we do that?
Woo! That's a good question. Wait, you talking about social media?
Social media.
Email, phone number?
Do it all.
So you can Google me, Kirk like Captain, K-I-R-K, Andre like the Giant,
S.
Wilson like the volleyball. You can do that, and that'll bring you to, eventually you'll see my Instagram. Instagram is the same thing, Kirk Andres Wilson. Facebook, same thing, Kirk Andres Wilson. And then I have my artist page. I would love if people can follow me on my artist page. It's Kirk Andres Wilson Music. And my email is kirkskeys@gmail.com.
What we'll do is we're going to find you on Facebook, and we're going to tag you with this interview. We want to thank you very much for being here, Kirk. Have a good day.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored. I really appreciate you.
All right.
Enjoyed it.
Plowzone Radio Show, NAMM 2024. Peace.